The primary election is Tuesday, and here is information you may need to guide you in casting your ballot. Here's how to find your polling place. You must vote at the polling place where you are registered to vote. The Pennsylvania Department of State has an online polling place search tool, which can also direct you to your county election bureau. When are the polls open? Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. As long as you are in the polling place by 8 p.m. you have the right to vote. How can I check if I'm registered to vote? You can check your registration status online with the Department of State. Another option is to check with your County Bureau of Elections and voter registration. Is it too late to register to vote? Yes, it's too late for the primary election. The deadline was April 16th, but you can register to vote in the November general election if you do so by October 9. Can I still request or file an absentee ballot? The deadline to apply for a civilian absentee ballot for the May 15th primary was May 7th. These ballots had to be in the County Board of Elections office by 5 p.m. May 11th. For emergencies that arise after May 7th, a petition for an emergency absentee ballot may be filed in county court. Do I need to show ID at the polls? Only first-time voters must show ID. This can be a photo ID or non-photo ID. Qualifying photo IDs include a valid Pennsylvania driver's license, a valid state or federal government ID, a valid U.S. passport, a valid student or employee ID. Qualifying non-photo IDs include a non-photo ID issued by the state or federal government, a current utility bill, a firearm permit, a current bank statement, a current paycheck or a current government check. The law requires that a non-photo ID must include your name and current address. You might need to provide ID before voting if you have not voted in 5 years or if someone challenges your right to vote in that precinct. What do I do if I'm challenged at the polls? Your right to vote can be challenged by local election officials, poll watchers or another voter who is lawfully inside the polling place. Challenges can only be for an individual's identity or place of residency, and the challenger must have a good faith basis for their challenge. For example, they may not indiscriminately challenge all voters of an opposing party. It is up to the judge of election to decide if the challenge has been made in good faith. If it is, and the judge is satisfied with your identity and residency, you must be allowed to vote. If the judge cannot determine if the challenge is valid, you are permitted to have another voter from the same precinct vouch for you. After that, you must be allowed to vote. If you cannot get someone to vouch for you, you must be given a provisional ballot. If it is later determined that you are eligible to vote, your ballot will then be counted. Can I cast a provisional ballot? If your name is not in the poll book at the polling place, you may still vote. Local officials must first call the County Board of Elections to confirm whether you are registered and in the right precinct. If you are in the wrong polling place, you will be directed to the correct one. If your name is not found in the voter registration database, you may cast a provisional ballot. The Judge of Elections will give you a receipt with your provisional ballot number so that you can contact your Board of Elections to check if your vote was counted. I haven't paid much attention to the election. Is there somewhere I can get information about the candidates? We've got you covered. Live in the League of Women Voters collaborated to compile this voter's guide to the 2018 primary election. Which congressional district am I in? The state's congressional districts were redrawn by the state Supreme Court earlier this year, so the congressional district you voted in during previous elections may have changed. Maps of the new congressional districts can be found on the Pennsylvania Department of State website. In addition, PennLive has created an online tool to help. Just go to this site and scroll down to the interactive map. Click on the search symbol in the upper left corner of the map and enter your address to find your congressional district. For more information, call the State Bureau of Elections at 1-877-868-3772 or your county election office. Has congressional redistricting affected where I go to vote? Polling places did not change as a result of redistricting. However, residents in North Middleton Township, Cumberland County, will see a new check-in procedure, since that municipality is split between the 10th and 13th districts. Are any polling places changing? Dauphin County has changed some polling places in Derry and Swatara Townships and Steelton Borough. Also, one Susquehanna Township polling spot has moved inside the same building. Can I take a ballot selfie while voting? If you take a photo in a polling place, including a ballot selfie, you may not disclose how others vote or how you are about to vote. The Pennsylvania Department of State strongly recommends that you wait until you leave the polling place to post your ballot selfie on social media. Once you have voted, you are free to post the photos, since there is no prohibition, after your vote is cast, against revealing how you voted. Can I take a gun into the polls? Even if you are lawfully in possession of a firearm and possess the proper permits, you may not be allowed to enter your polling place with your firearm. Firearms cannot be brought into polling places which are located in one of the following locations: inside a private property forbidding them, a school, a courthouse, or any other location where Pennsylvania law prohibits the carrying of firearms. Even if you are permitted to possess your firearm at the polls, you must be responsible with it. Anyone who acts aggressively or ostentatiously displays a firearm, and whose behavior is either intended to or inadvertently intimidates another voter or voters, will be removed from the polling place and reported to law enforcement authorities. It is illegal to use any means to attempt to intimidate any voters either inside or outside of polling locations. What do I do if I need help at the polls? You may have someone help you cast your ballot, if a disability impairs you from operating the voting machine. If you have a language barrier that prevents you from understanding the ballot. If you have difficulty reading. You may ask anyone to assist you as long as the person is not your employer or their agent, your union representative or their agent, or the judge of election. Can I take campaign literature into the polls? Voters may take campaign literature with them into the polling place and voting booth if it helps them choose who to vote for, but they may not leave it there. All other campaign material must remain at least 10 feet from the room in which voting occurs. Can I wear campaign gear inside a polling place? You may wear clothing, buttons, hats, or other campaign gear, but you must not campaign for a candidate or candidates inside the polling place or within 10 feet of the room. Election officials are prohibited from wearing campaign items at the polls. Who can be inside the polls? Election officials. Voters who are in the process of voting. People assisting those voting. Constables and deputy constables tasked with preserving the peace. Poll watchers with valid watcher certificates. Appointed election overseers. Police officers may only be at the polls if they are voting, if the poll is in the same building as the police station, or if they have been called to address a situation there. Who do I contact if I have a complaint about voting? Voters who experience problems voting in the election can fill out an online Department of State form or may call 1-877-868-3772. They also call their county election bureau. Who can register to vote? You must be a citizen of the U.S. and a resident of PA for at least 1 month before the election. You must 18 on or before the election. If you are in prison on election day on a felony conviction, you cannot vote. Voting rights are restored when you are released from prison. Here is a guide to voter rights from the PA Attorney General. Can I vote if I am in prison? If you are in prison on election day serving time for a felony conviction, you cannot vote. You may vote if you are awaiting trial on a felony. You may vote from prison if you are convicted of a misdemeanor. You must seek an absentee ballot and return it by the deadline. Can I vote if I am on probation, parole or house arrest? Yes, people awaiting trial in prison, even on a felony, may vote. Can I vote if I was convicted of a felony in a state that takes away the right to vote permanently? You may vote in Pennsylvania even if you were convicted of a felony in a state that revoked your right to vote. What should I do if I believe someone has intimidated me at the polls? It is illegal for anyone to block or attempt to block the entrance to the poll. Intimidating behavior, including words or actions, should be reported immediately to your county board of elections. If you witness what you believe to be election-related crimes, please email our office at voting@attorneygeneral.gov. Can college students vote in the polling place at their college? College students in Pennsylvania may register at their college address or their home address. They must cast their votes at the polling place where they are registered. What if the voting machines break? If at least half of the voting machines in your polling place are not working, you are entitled to vote by emergency paper ballot. Do not leave without voting. If poll workers do not offer paper ballots, you may request one and they must provide it.